The enthusiastic Mr. Chris Washburn joins me today for the program on the DJ Sharing Podcast Network. And the video is going to be, go ahead, Chris.
Going to be out there in your local Blockbuster store, so make sure you find it. It should be in the new release.
Blockbuster, yeah. On
Maybe
every corner.
Yeah, there you go.
And make sure you return it to your red box when you're done, too.
Absolutely. Mike, what are we talking about today? Excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Our program today is in response to all of the enthusiastic banter on DJ idea sharing lately about conferences and expos. And you got to realize that most DJs don't know what's going on within our own industry. They don't know all of the conferences, expos, workshops. And so we wanted to sort of familiarize them with it.
I think that's a very valid point, Mike. You're right. The amount of DJs that are in these groups that are in the world, it's a small percentage of ones that attend these shows every couple months or every year, and the same ones you see over and over. So I think there are a lot of people that don't know about them or just choose not to participate. And given the recent different shares, different posts and comments, there has been a lot of very wide opinions on DJ shows. Are they worth it? Are they not? Some of my friends, some of my the content creators have put out videos, have made statements, and all of it has some validity in some sort for sure. But I think it is good for us to just chat and maybe explain a little bit more of the honesty of the truth, give some perspectives. I think I'm definitely would be in the smaller percentage of the DJs that have been to almost all the shows that attend regularly. There are definitely other people in the boat as me, but from the perspective of being a guest, from being an attendee, from being a presenter, from being a producer of the show, from performing at the shows, I have that unique perspective that I've done them all. So if I can share something that helps someone, that's great, and hopefully we can do something along those lines to help the community here.
Right, and I'm not going to overwhelm the listeners with whether I think that shows are worthy of attending. I think everybody knows my stance on that, which is education is power. And it's not just that, it's the camaraderie that you build up and meeting all of your fellow professionals and colleagues. And, social media is, it's a powerful tool and you can reach out to people all over the world, but it's not quite the same as meeting people at a conference, sitting down to dinner and talking shop. It's a whole different level of interaction and communication when you are going to these events.
Yeah, you hit the nail spot on. You're 100% right. You can't recreate the face-to-face, sitting down with someone at lunch and talking about something, or opening up and being able to do something that is not just posted on a Facebook thread or a comment or something like that. And I think with this, for at least when I try to give opinions like this, I try to stay away from actual opinions. I'd rather just state facts and talk about the show. I'm not here to bash any show or to say this place is great and this place is awesome and pitch the own shows that I have interest in. No. I want to be straightforward, honest, transparent, and say facts like, here's what you can expect here. Here's what this place does well. Here's what this place could do better, rather than just saying you should go to this show and you should do this one and this one sucks. No. So throughout this podcast and this video, if you watch, I'm going to try to be very fact-based and support in ways that are more things that you can quantify and things that are facts versus just my own opinion of what I think is maybe good or bad or whatnot. So.
And I've come up with a master list, and I'm sure I've forgotten something or missed something, but this is pretty close. So what we're going to do is chronologically, we're going to work our way through starting in January and end up in December. Because we are recording this in the middle of March, we're just right before St. Patrick's Day. What we're going to do is we're going to feature the 2026 events that are going to happen in January, February, and March, and then we'll take over and we'll switch back to 2025 because it's still relevant to being able to attend this year.
That sounds good and cool. And I just look what you kind of just said, Mike. I want to preface a little bit by saying that overall, all these shows, one of the biggest, yes, you go for the education, the parties, you can see the gear, but again, I think the thing that's most valuable to me and the reason why I go so much is definitely the relationships and the camaraderie. When I started going to DJ shows, I think in 2016, 2017, almost 8 or 9 years ago, it was a complete game changer for me because it opened up the doors to so many opportunities and let me meet people that helped me grow and expand. First, whether it was internal growth, help with my business, or physical opportunities and gigs that helped make me who I am today. So I think those relationships it's tough to put a price on those. And some of the closest people in my life now that if I was having a wedding, I'm already married, but if I had a wedding tomorrow, who would be on my A list of people I would invite? That's how I compare like who's important in your life. There'd be a lot of people that I've met through the DJ world throughout these shows that would be on that A list, and some of the most important people, closest people to me. So that part I think is more valuable than anything you learn in a 15-minute seminar or anything you see on a showroom floor. And I want to preface with that. That's very important too. And if you're someone that is just doesn't want to talk to people, be with people, well, you probably shouldn't be a DJ, first of all. But that's you're losing, I think, a big part of the value of these beyond just all of the stuff on paper, your education seminars, etc. So those conversations in the hallway and those relationships, I think, overall, I don't necessarily think we have to repeat that again, but that's my overall thought of all these shows. When you get to meet and see these people, very, very, very important and valuable.
And we're talking about people, but there's also the element of the toys, and you could only see so much online, and you could only see and discuss things in the social media rooms and talk about speakers. Hearing them is a completely different thing. Seeing the lights is a completely different thing. Not all of these events that we're talking about are going to have a show floor, but some of them do. And if you want to, kick the tires and do a test drive on some of the stuff, you can walk right into a big show floor like DJX in Atlantic City, and you can see a whole lot of stuff that's not virtual, that's real, and it really help you with your decisions as to what your next equipment moves are going to be.
That's a great point. I've certainly bought gear based on after I was able to see it and touch it and feel it and play on it and move the platters and see like how heavy is this? If I'm right now working with back in the day, like I had a Pioneer SZ, which was really heavy and expensive, or really heavy, and then went down to SRT 1000. Just being able to feel that, you can't necessarily, you can look the specs online, but yeah, feeling that, see how big it is. It's going to fit in my car. If I only had this space right here, what do those platters feel like? What are those new CDJ platters that they say are CDJ platters? Are they really CDJ platters? What's the torque like on these new turntables? So yeah, you're absolutely right. Seeing that and being able to ask the experts, the manufacturers of those companies, questions about things that you may not be able to get from just a sales rep or from a dealer. So
yeah, you could ask the hard questions right to the people who are the reps or the designers of the products. So it's a great thing.
Hearing what exactly those different speakers sound like, or do they sound good in a room? In a big room? Do they sound good in a small room? Hearing them lined up next to each other, like the speaker shootout, which we'll talk about at Harvest of Sound. All those demo rooms at EV, RCF, QSC, all the big boys, all the big players, they make it easy for you. And sometimes it's just seeing the layout and feeling the back. Do you like that wood cabinet versus the plastic cabinet? Do you like where those two XLRs are located versus maybe somewhere else? Or where's the on-off switch? Like all those little things that make a difference to DJs when you're working regularly that you can't really necessarily see online, but you can in person. So good point.
Yeah, so we talked a little bit, given some compelling argument as to why you should go. Now let's actually talk about the list that I put together here. And we're going to start with an event that kind of kicks things off in January. It's produced by our friend Bill Jacob, who's from Pittsburgh, and it's called the Pittsburgh DJ Summit. Now, it just happened this past January, so I don't have the actual dates. Bill said he was going to get back to me on this, but very simply, the Pittsburgh DJ Summit is a regional event, and there is a difference between the regional events and the large-scale events. Sometimes the regional events can be really enjoyable because you're dealing with about 100 or less, so you could really rub elbows, but it is taking place in January of 2026.
The 12th to the 14th, January 12th to 14th. I have it right here looking at my calendar.
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
Bill's been doing a nice job with that.
they've done a fantastic job. Bill's a good friend of mine. This past year, so 2 months ago, it was their second year. And I had the honor of being one of the keynote speakers last year for their first one, inaugural one. And yeah, it is a small regional show, whereas I think they've had between 50 and 100 people. I think this year 75-ish, last year 50-ish. But as you said, there is a good mix of the regional, the smaller ones, and the bigger shows. Whereas with the smaller ones, you get a little bit more of an intimate, more conducive, I would say learning conducive atmosphere, because you're next to the same people in every class. There aren't 3 different classes you can go to, or you may go to that one, you may go to that one, they might conflict. Everyone follows the same program. You sit next to the same people in those seminars. You sit next to them at lunch. You hang out with them after. It creates a nice cohesion, kind of like a summer camp where you see the same people and you really have more chance to develop those bonds and those relationships. And you can ask more questions too. It's easier in a room full of 50, 75 people to ask a question in front of everyone and have a discussion versus a big ballroom with 300 people where you can't really have the same sort of conversation. So those small ones, Bill, who is a big he did a lot for the industry with the DJ takeovers, which I'm lucky to be part of a little bit. He really helped pave the way over a decade worth of doing those, giving DJs opportunities like myself an opportunity to DJ and perform at some pretty big venues. He's been to a lot of the shows, so he knew a lot of what should be done and what people liked and what they didn't like, and he's brought that to Pittsburgh DJ Summit. And then this past year, with help from Jess McKelvey and Aaron Thomas, I'm so sorry if I forgot about Stephanie Rivkin. They've done a fantastic job. It was one of my favorite ones that I've gone to in the last year. Just really good people. They did a great job for empowering women. There were a lot of women there, and they just did a great job of creating a very inclusive, conducive atmosphere. Phenomenal speakers. They touched on there was no overlap. You had really good experts. You had Mike Walter, you had Nate Acosta. You had people that knew exactly what their specialties about, and they had a nice setup too where they would have seminars, they'd have breakout workshops the second day, or both days actually. So rather than just sitting in the same room for an extended amount of time listening to people talk, it was a very good job of hands-on training with workshops. Fantastic job. So Pittsburgh DJ Summit definitely gets 2 thumbs up in my book. I'll be going there again next year, and that I highly recommend that if you're in that area and you want a smaller one. Great job.
And I would add to that, just because we call it a regional show doesn't mean that it's only open to regional people. You could get on a plane from LA and head out to the Pittsburgh DJ Summit and have a great time. But speaking of LA, that brings us to the juggernaut, the big one, the big kahuna, and that's NAMM, which takes place in Anaheim, California every year, except for the pandemic, of course. For 2026, the dates for NAMM are January 20th through 24th. Now, this is the big show. This is equipment. This isn't something you're going to go and mingle with a bunch of DJs. This is if you want to see equipment of all different types. It's not just DJ and pro audio. It's guitars. It's everything in the musical instrument world and equipment. Chris, have you ever seen some of the videos that come out of NAMM?
It's big. It's big. I haven't personally been to NAMM yet. A lot of the reason you just said, because it is all about equipment. And I would say going to these shows, equipment is probably the lowest thing on my totem of things that I care about the most. I'm more into the relationships, the performance, the education, some of the parties, some of the production of the takeovers and whatnot. So to just go see gear, not so appealing to me. And the dates have always conflicted just because I have stuff in January that I do. However, I do stay very close in touch with what's going on. I see what the people that are there, I watch their posts, I talk to them about it. And yeah, if you're a gearhead and you want to be around that's certainly the show to go to. Now, I do know you have to get, in case you're curious and never been before, it's not like a show where you can just go buy a ticket. You have to get a special invite through one of the companies. You have to know someone and talk to someone and get them, because it's just not open to the public. And so that's just something to be aware of, but it is massive. Anaheim, go take a nice little vacation, go to Disney World, enjoy Southern California, one of the best places in the country weather-wise, and you can see just all of what's happening. And that's also where it's kind of like the San Diego Comic-Con for Marvel and Star Wars, where they make the big announcements. Oftentimes, NAMM is where those companies, the speaker companies, whatnot, will make big announcements and show off their new toys for the first time. So if you're like that type of person that wants to see firsthand, boom, I want to see the newest controller speakers, then that's probably where you want to be.
Yeah, EV, they held out their brand new Evolve Series 70s and 90s. They were scheduled to launch at NAMM, so it was all on the hush-hush. They didn't want it to get out because they were going to launch at NAMM, so it's a pretty big deal for that. But if you do want education, the ultimate combination, if you might as well just stay on the West Coast, because MEX, the Mobile Entertainment Expo, this one has really burgeoned into an amazing event, which is sort of piggybacked off of the Photo Booth Expo. Our buddy Rob has done just an amazing job sort of evolving the old mobile beat and taking it over and turning it into MEX.
Yeah, so those of you that have been around the industry for before COVID, you might remember that this used to be Mobile Beat, which was the flagship DJ show in Vegas again. And right before COVID, The mobile beat was bought by, like you said, our friend Rob Savickas, and he combined the Photo Booth Expo with Mobile Beat and turned it into now MEX, the Mobile Entertainment Expo. This is one of the larger shows where I think they had close to 5,000 attendees last year, or this past year, which happened about a month ago, and that's including both shows. For the DJs, the number that's been floating out there, excuse me, is 1,800 DJs. Now, people that were there, some are saying they don't think it was that many. Anyhow, somewhere in that range. The seminar room probably had a few hundred people in there. The takeover parties, a few hundred more. So in that range, it's going to be a larger scale one. Now, a lot of you that may have been following the Facebook groups lately saw Justin the DJ put out a video just a few days ago about MEX where he talked a lot about the good, the bad, and gave some pretty harsh criticisms and some really valid opinions on it. And I don't want to break down his opinions. A lot of what he said, I think, was valid for sure. And would other DJs share the same opinions about that? I'll say for these ones, these big ones can be tough and challenging. And if people were expecting what happened with Mobile Beat, where it was just DJs, it was ran by DJs, they did a lot of stuff for just the people, the DJs that were there. I think it has changed a little bit as it got a little bit bigger and it got involved with the Photo Booth Expo. There's so much more things to go on with the admin and the management. But they have made some good strides over the past couple years, and I think they do still have to make some adjustments with their education seminars and figure out, are they going to lean into more of the education, and are they just having just to have it, or they really want to focus on making it optimal? And if they want to do that, I do think they have to do some things with the schedule, as in you can't just have a seminar for 50 minutes, run 2-minute break and do another one, and then do another one, do another one. You have to break it up a little bit, give people time to go out to the bathroom, go out in the hallway to talk to people, rather than just keeping them right there. And one of the criticisms brought up too was the late night parties, 3 nights straight of just DJ shows. And when I say DJ shows, it's just DJs spinning and dance floors open. And in the DJ, let's be honest, in the DJ world, it's mostly men, and men tend to not dance, and especially DJs may have egos, may not want to, whether it's an ego, a power struggle, they don't want to dance and give the other DJ credit that they're jealous of the validity or the acknowledgement that, oh yeah, I'm enjoying what you're doing because I secretly want it to be me, and instead I'm just going to sit here with my arms crossed in the back and pretend and just Shazam the songs and write down what you're doing. So sometimes those don't always have the best atmosphere, and I think there's some things, some ideas that I don't want to go into too much because I have some ideas of things that I'm going to be doing that you could do that creates more interaction, that maybe separates it, makes it different, and appeals in a different way than just, hey, let's go watch a DJ that I wish I could be spin in that regard. But again, it's great. South Point is a great spot for the event because it's all inclusive right there, easy to get to. There's all the food, obviously gambling, different steakhouses, different restaurants, and it's big too. So even a bowling alley.
Yeah.
But creates good chemistry, and you can see people. And I know a lot of people are still going just because they blocked off that week every year and they want to see their friends and connect. And I think that's it's got a good solid. They do a lot of things right. The showroom floor is huge, by the way. It's a lot more photo booth though. It's a lot more photo booth. So just have your expectations going into it. And again, one of the critiques was a lot of the education was very 101. And yeah, it is, because there's only so much you can do in a 40-ish, 50-minute seminar. You can't really dive deep. You can't have a hands-on workshop. A lot of it is 101 stuff, and if people want more, well, I think there are ways to do that, but it's not as easy as it sounds, especially with, well, you get another point in general for shows. The people that I think are trained to be really good. Okay. Being a presenter, I can understand this. If you're a presenter, you either have to be a really good entertainer presenter that could talk about anything on stage and be entertaining, or you have to have really good content. Ideally, you want to have both. And a lot of DJ shows, the presenters will lack in one area or just lack in both. So many times when people speak, they talk about themselves, but they fail to relate how to say, like, this thing I just told you, how does this relate to you, and why is this valuable to you? They forget that. They can talk about themselves, they can talk about something, but they fail to relate why that is valuable to you. Why did I just tell you that, and how can you implement that into your own business? And that's something that, again, some shows they train their speakers more. They do a better job of of making sure that they are qualified to qualify them, and some do not. You get that new speakers and you get people that maybe don't understand that it's more about themselves. Well, then, yeah, you get some pretty bad seminars that are just like, oh, I didn't really take away from anything there. It's tough because the ones that are qualified that will do a good 202, 303, 404 level, they have people that are masters of their craft that, well, they're gonna come with a price tag. It's gonna take an investment, and it's well deserved too because they've put the time, the effort in. They either have their master classes, they have other things, and not all shows are willing to pay for education. So if they're just looking for who's willing to do it for free, well, you're gonna get a little bit more some of those low end ones or people that may not be fully groomed well enough to be able to hit that content, be entertaining, and deliver at that level. So I think that's not just MEX, but a lot of the shows struggle with. So we got off on a little tangent there, but that's something I think it's important for people to understand. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you come from the perspective of being a presenter anyway, but I will say this with MEX and Rob Savickas, he has a gentleman, Mike Cordero, who is the floor producer, the manager. He makes it all happen.
Stage manager, yep.
Yeah, stage manager. And Mike, every year after the show, Mike and Rob and their whole committee, they get together and they literally go over every aspect and they ask each other every year, how can we make this better? And if you put it into retrospect, the MEX is only in its third or fourth year. I think third, because it was Photo Booth Expo before. And that was amazingly successful. MEX is a relatively new show. And we tend to forget that because we just kind of lump it in with Photo Booth Expo or we think it's the new mobile beat, which it is, but it isn't. So, I mean, every year they talk about how can we make it better? What can we do to make it better? In my opinion, it is a must attend on your every year block of shows if you're going to be attending shows. But you talked about presenters maybe not being able to get deep into 202, 303 and whatnot. The next clinic here is something that I'm actually producing with Frank Garcia. It's going to be called the Beat Mix Clinic. It hasn't happened yet. It's brand new. We're shooting for March of 2026. And this is going to wrap up our 2026 previews for next year. But what the Beat Mix Clinic is, I'll speak to this really quickly because Chris doesn't even know about it.
Frank's here.
You know about Frank Garcia, right? I mean, he's a legend in the New York scene. Frank's been mixing forever in clubs, and he's been doing at what was DJ Times, which is now DJX. He's been doing a beat mix seminar forever. I think he was doing it back in the 90s. And basically what the Beat Mix Clinic is going to be is an intensive 2-day workshop. There are going to be multiple classes hosted by experts, and it's going to be everything from not just beat mixing, but counting and measures and phrasing. We're going to be hitting on equipment and how to best utilize this equipment and all of the new stems and how to make remixes, key mixing and matching and everything that you could possibly imagine, and scratching. And so essentially what we want is for people to come in who want to really raise their game, not just beat mixing and scratching, but just as a performer that is taking and manipulating music. So it is going to be a 2-day event. We're going to shoot for March of 2026, and the dates haven't been announced yet, but it will be in the New York City area.
There Sweet. You go. Look forward to that. Cool, Mike. And I hope that goes well for you, and excited to hear more. I will say too, you just mentioned Frank, and it made me think of something, and nothing against Frank. But the perception, I think a lot of these, especially like the young DJs, the newer ones that are getting in, the younger ones that are, say, under 30, maybe even under 25, the perception, I think, and I don't agree with this, it's not my opinion, this is what I hear from others, is that when they start to see DJs that have been around from the 90s and the turntables, the turntablists and stuff, not that their value isn't good, but they might, yeah, that's you, right? But they might see that as outdated. And I see that that's why a lot of them, they don't want, it's just not as appealing to them. They want to see their Jack Christians, their Even Steves, their DJ Vergos that they see on TikTok, that they see on Instagram, the Nick Spinellis. And whether they learn or don't learn how to mix on turntables that they did in the 90s in New York, they might think it's cool, but it doesn't help them at all. They want to be like, all right, well, what can I do on the Red 5? Because I see that's what Even Steve is doing. And that's what I have, right?
Yeah.
So I think for like a beat mix clinic like that, and even for any shows moving forward, if they can tap into the understanding what the younger generation is finding appealing and what they actually do care about, will help with the shows, will help with attendance, will help with getting people to support whatever workshop or show you're doing. And unfortunately, that's it's not saying that the people that are older that have what they're doing is wrong. No, and unfortunately that because a lot of the gifts and gems that they do have are still very valuable. And I wish the younger generation would do things like Marbecca, like understanding the value of emceeing. Like, yes, it is very valuable, but the marketing or the way you tell them sometimes is just is a little bit different. And I think a lot of these shows and different things are failing to evolve in that regard, or could do better.
No doubt, no doubt, and we're going to hit on everything in this clinic when it comes to mixing, but that is now going to move us into the present. We were talking about, well, we were talking about 2026. That's the future. We're going to talk about right now, and that is we're going to April. We just did January, February, and March of 2026. Now, April, which is going to be the 27th through 29th. Let's talk about Midwest DJs Live. Now, this is a regional show that has really kicked it up. And I might be wrong, but I think this is like 7th or 8th year that they're doing this. And they really evolved into something special.
It's one of my absolute favorites. Midwest DJs Live, Milwaukee. Absolutely. So I think it was the great thing about this one. It starts with the size of the show. 200, I think, is the max, right around there. So just like we talked about with the Pittsburgh DJ Summit, those smaller ones, they create that more intimate atmosphere. Everyone's going through the same program. And it starts with like many companies or any entity in life, of who's on top and who are the people that are running and controlling it. Now, it's managed and run by DJs and very, very smart people. Rich Lang and Mitch Taylor and Josh Staley. Oh, who else am I forgetting? They're people. There's a group of them. Yeah, a group of them that are just very smart people that are genuinely good and have the right intentions. That not necessarily, they're not doing this so they can make money on ticket sales. They're doing it to help the DJ community. And I think it's a nonprofit company entity that runs it too. And the attention to detail, from what happens when you walk out of the room or when you walk into the room, or the way the badges are together, or the like every little thing like this, of the flow of how you sit together with lunch and why you have seminars in the certain slots that they have, floor time, etc., where the vendors are placed. All those things make a big difference. And it is definitely, if people had to ask, which show should I go to this year, that is easily in my top 3 or 2 or maybe even 1. It's definitely up there. Fantastic job. And especially too with the parties, rather than just doing the same mundane DJ contests, DJ spin-offs, they even incorporated things like Midwest Got Talent, where DJs were able to go either sing or play guitar and do other instruments that wasn't DJing, which was super, super fun. Reminded me of like sitting around the campfire in high school with all your friends, and it's just that vibe, and you can't recreate that with other ways and just by having dance floors. Casino nights, fantastic things. And they've done a really good job too of diversifying their presenters, of their performers. They bring in some of the best DJs to spin at their parties for those segments where they need that. So hats off. Midwest gets all of my praise. Excited for it this year, and certainly if you can go to that one, that is one of the best to go to for sure. And they check every box.
Yep, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, April 27th through the 29th. Now that show has evolved tremendously, but I guarantee you they took a cue from this guy, Robbie Britton, producing ARMDJ. If I'm wrong, I'll hear from Robbie. ARMS stands for Appalachian Regional Mobile DJ Symposium, I believe. ARMS.
I think you're right.
I think I
asked
am.
that last year because I went to for the first time last year.
And this happens in Tennessee, and this year, I just talked with Robbie, or texted with him. He said June 16th of this coming year, but you could find more on their website, ARMS DJ. We'll put it in. I'll put it in the show notes. But Robbie Britton started this, I don't know, like 15, 20 years ago, something like that. And he really took the regional show and put it on the map. And this, if you like the regional thing, if you like being able to be with 50 to 100 of your colleagues and just focus on learning, this is the show to go to. Have you ever been, Chris?
Yeah, so last year I had the honor of presenting. I did 2 seminars down there. It was the first time there. And It's the Southern vibe feel. It's very welcoming. Robbie just built a brand new venue that he has as a venue, and we did it in there. We had the show, the education in there, as well as some of the parties. It's just such a good vibe. Very welcoming, caring people. It definitely has that more laid back feel. Sometimes seminars go over, sometimes they go late, sometimes they don't start. So it's not as structured. Not that it's loose, but it's just got that very relaxed feel, kind of like, okay, I'm down here chilling, which I assume is much like the South, and definitely Tennessee vibes. It had a lot of local people there. I think there was like 50-ish. Good people, very, very genuine conversations and relationships with this one. And I think I met some people that I haven't seen before that were very valuable, sharing some of the local market stuff there. And I think, yeah, if you want that more intimate, close vibe, that is probably a good choice
Yeah.
for you. You're not going to get the same showroom floor as a Vegas show. You're not going to get the Vegas vibe of all the glitz and glamour, but there's something really positive to say about that raw, genuine connection. Robbie and his wife and people that have known each other for years that have been getting together, really good camaraderie. And in the last couple of years, since they started bringing in other presenters outside of their market, like myself and some others, I think they've started to expand and elevate their education side of things with that. So yeah,
Right.
I like the vibe down there.
So that's June 16th. Now we jump to probably the biggest growing show there is right now, which is the Marquee, which takes place in Chicago. Everybody knows KC, Keith Christopher or Keith Kokortz. Keith put together a DJ and photo booth show. The Marquee is just in its fifth year now, I believe. And this thing is just on fire. I mean, he just keeps growing it and making it bigger and better. And this year, the dates are June 23rd through 26th. Like I said, Chicago.
hmm Marquee, Chicago, centrally located, so easy to get to from either coast, and very accommodating to get off or travel wise. And Casey, yeah, Casey's a friend of mine, and he's been around. You could go on all day talking about what he's done for the industry. He just got inducted in the MEX Hall of Fame, well deserved. Definitely a lot of accolades. Definitely a lot of steps that he made to pave the way for seminars, for education, for DJ shows. So he's been doing that at Marquee. I didn't get to go last year, got a conflicting date, but the last couple years before that, I was a presenter, I was a guest, I was a performer. So again, it's got a cap of around, I think, 200-ish people, 150 to 200. So similar vibes as Midwest with them. He does a good job of bringing in some very highly educated presenters, and if you look at the speaker list, it's very good there. The parties I've always enjoyed. Lance George is a local Chicago DJ. One of his right hand people has helped with those, so I've always enjoyed that. Again, if those dates work well for you, you like that atmosphere, you're always in the same room with people, there's not conflicting things, and they've done a good job too with their showroom being a smaller one.
Now we get to one of this is probably my favorite of all time. I'm just really attached to this particular expo because it was the first in 1994. I went down to Atlantic City, not knowing really what to expect. I saw an ad in a DJ publication called DJ Times that I picked up when I was in Fort Lauderdale. There was a DJ store down there, Chris, called the DJ Store. And a good
Wow.
name, right? And I was just, I was maybe 7, 8 years into being a DJ at that point. There really wasn't a lot for DJs, and so the fact that we had our own magazine, I thought was pretty mind melting. But then there was an expo too, and I walked in really not knowing what to expect, and there was like lights and lasers and speakers, and yes, they sold CDs at that particular time.
Jeez. Nice.
That's another story. But of course, we're talking about DJX, which was formerly known as DJ Times, and it has been rebranded, and the whole new DJ Life online magazine is fantastic. I'm biased; I write for them, but it's great stuff. And just Atlantic City, it's the summer. And what do you think about DJX, Chris?
Well, I love the words you just said, mind melting. I'm going to steal that phrase from now on, mind melting. And also, congrats to you. Sounds like you've been around for 100 years in the industry. So, congrats to having that sustainability. And no, for real,
Mm.
Mike, for the decades you've been around, that's not easy for people to stay relevant that long, and you have. So, congrats to you on that one.
Thanks, man.
So, DJX, Atlantic City, what's nice about this one is that you and I, we can drive to it. I live in central New York, so rather than having to fly to Vegas, it's pretty easy to drive to.
Yeah.
Like Atlantic City, being someone that enjoys casinos, and I grew up going to Atlantic City. Well, throughout my college days of being a poker player, I used to go down to Atlantic City, so it has a special tie to me. So when I found out years ago that there was a show in Atlantic City, yep, I was there around the same time I started going to Mobile Beat. And this is a similar one to like a MEX, a Mobile Beat, because it is big. And one thing, you got thousands of people there. I know that the showroom, some people say that the showroom is the best showroom of all of these shows, and it's fluctuated a lot over the past couple of years, but sometimes it has been pretty immaculate. I think a good draw for this one is you get a lot of the tri-state, New York City, DJ, the culture of that. You get a lot of these people that have been around. You talked about Frank George from New York City in the 90s, people like Jazzy Jeff, some of those other turntablists, Scribble, people that have really paved the way for a lot of us younger DJs that I know I'm guilty of it too, that we don't fully appreciate what they've done for us, that will show up at this show because it still has the roots to New York City, to the early days of DJing, to turntables, way before there was Serato, way before there was the sync button. And that's always fun because they've had some really good panels where they honor some of these legends we get to see. And then, of course, with some of the demos, the showroom floor. One thing they've done really well in the last few years, again, I've presented at this show multiple times, is they've really have listened to the mobile DJ side. I think for decades it was very much club heavy, and then since I started with 8 or 9 years ago, they've really catered more to the mobile DJs, the business owners, and by doing that, it's bringing in more speakers that are going to speak upon the mobile side of things, the educators, and some of the best around in the country are there. So they've done a good job with there. I think what they could do a little bit better with the education seminars is they overlapped a lot of their seminars. That I think that's something they need to work on a little bit. I know that when I was doing mine the last year, 2 years ago, there was 3 other ones going on, and they were all very similar and all ones that people wanted to go to it. So it was very conflicting. And I think they just need to structure it a little bit better to either, if you're going to have two conflicting, they need to be completely polar opposites. Maybe one is about 90s turntablism and the other one is about bringing photo booths into your business or something like that. They can't be like conflicting type of things where it creates friction between the guests. So that part is just my small critique there. And the parties have been pretty fun. I know Daryl and Mike Oliveris, Daryl Jacobson, they do their one that's been a staple. And the people that, again, the East Coast people that tend to gravitate towards this one. So there's a good bond of reoccurring friends that you get to see. Being the venue's fantastic. The Hard Rock Casino. Yeah. Hard Rock Casino, Hard Rock just bought that one and turned it used to be Taj Mahal, I think, and then they turned it into this one, and it's beautiful. It's a gorgeous spot. You're right there on the beach in the summer, so you can literally walk 30 seconds out, be on the boardwalk, grab your towel, go lie on the beach, get some sun for a little bit, come right back in. And so that part's nice. Food option, easy, great. Lots of entertainment, lots of excitement, nightclubs, the parties. So yeah, showroom floor again, big one. And if you're on the East Coast and you're looking for somewhere you don't have to fly to, whether you're in Philly, tri-state area, it's a good spot for that. And I like bringing my team there. This one, it's also cheaper since we don't have to fly.
Yeah, well, if you do have to fly, you fly into Philadelphia, major hub, and then you just hit the Atlantic City Expressway. I would say, Chris, that it does have the best show floor. The show floor got hurt during the pandemic, but for the most part, it has come back, and it probably is the best of all of the show floors if you're into that. I also think that the nightlife at DJX is the best of any of the expos. I mean, you would think, in Vegas, yeah, but they don't really go into the clubs too much at MAX. Atlantic City, they do. They have relations with all of the clubs, and then they get the big New York City DJs that come on in, and they have some pretty legendary night stuff. And I do happen to think the seminars are pretty darn good too. But all in all, I think this would also be on my list of must attends. And this year, it's going to be August 11th through the 14th at the Hard Rock, which is the best hotel of any DJ convention, I think. It's just so music related and it's fun. So it's a great place to go and hang out with your fellow DJs.
I would agree with that. I think it is top tier for having these big ones. Yeah, even things like their spa that they have there is phenomenal, and the layout of all the restaurants and all the meeting rooms and the big rooms. Yeah, so in terms of like location, venue, amenities, and logistics, it is top tier for to having a big show like this. Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
So that's August. Now, I did not find anything in September or October, so there's a little bit of a void there. But then we get into November and we get into a real huge. This is a huge event because it's not just for DJs; it is for wedding professionals. It is the Wedding MBA, Merchant Business Academy, and I went to this years ago when it was in Arizona in Phoenix, and I was blown away. And that's when I met Andy Ebon, the late Andy Ebon, God rest his soul, great man, and Alan Berg, who has changed my business life and has actually helped me with a lot of proofreading and stuff like that, and just being a great
Right.
advisor. And if you haven't heard Alan Berg speak, now you talk about a great presenter who has the message, who can communicate, and is just a great speaker. He is. But Wedding MBA is in Las Vegas, and this year it's going to be coming up November 11th through the 13th. You've been to that one too, right?
I go to this one every year, and I actually play a big role because I'm the onstage host MC. I help with some of the DJ presenters of helping put them in and book them. I work very closely with the Wedding MBA owners and producers. I run the DJ takeover now, the big part that they have. I do that with Bill Jacob, and that's been super successful. So you mentioned earlier about how Marquee was one of the most up and coming shows. I would say in terms of DJs. Wedding MBA has been probably the biggest gainer what I've seen over the last post-COVID because yes, it is about the entire wedding industry and the DJs were a small portion of that and they've really strived to increase the value and the attraction for DJs and they've done a fantastic job at that. First of all, their education, their seminars, out of all the places I've spoken at when I first started, it was the best and the most detailed one in terms of getting qualified. I had to submit videos, I had to show this, and then I had to take an hour of Zoom with Alan Berg, who you just mentioned, who's one of the best speakers out there. Of all these first-time speakers, had to do a Zoom with him to learn the basics of speaking and things like that. So they did a really good job of prepping to make sure that the speakers that go out there do not flop and that they have the good messages, that they have the good content, and they can be entertaining. So hats off to Wedding and Bay. They've done a great job there. And now, what's really cool about this show is that the DJs are a minority there in terms of numbers.
Mm.
They get like 5,000 attendees, and a lot of them are planners, a lot of them are photographers, videographers. You have so many different vendors and professionals, and most of them are female, honestly, which is a nice change because most, like I said earlier, most of the DJs are male, and DJ shows are very male friendly. What that creates is a different vibe. It's a little bit more welcoming, and especially at the nighttime parties. So the DJ takeover, we've done it 3 years now. This will be our fourth year. We do it at the Hard Rock Cafe, not to be confused with the Hard Rock Casino in Atlantic City. Hard Rock Cafe on the Vegas Strip, where we have a lineup of DJs. This year we brought in multiple musicians, and it creates a vibe. It's so much fun because it's mostly non-DJs. And if you're a DJ, you know that spinning for probably 25 to 40-year-old women is probably the best vibe you can have out there, right? It's about
What?
women are way more fun to
Wait,
DJ
you
for.
just hit on something. This is probably the one show where the men are the minority, right? Right?
That is true.
Yeah.
Absolutely, 100%. So it's a nice change of pace for that. And
Look at him
then
smiling. Look at him smiling.
so good because when you see these DJ takeovers, the wedding NBA crowd, it is so much better because women are out there, they're dancing, they're having a good time. And most of them are pros where they don't usually get to do this. So when they finally get to let loose, they're in a safe, comfortable spot with their peers. They don't have to worry about the kids. They don't have to worry about their clients and who
Yeah.
are they're working for them. It just creates such a sweet vibe. So that after the nighttime parties are super, super phenomenal, super lit, 1,000+ people. We love doing that. And then of course, yes, they've done such a good job with the structure. I like how the Wedding MBA for the DJ section, of course, they do one day of seminars. The next day they don't have any DJ seminars, and then the next day they have more DJ seminars. So it breaks it up. It allows you to go to the other vendors, and some of them they have general presentations where it's people that are some of the biggest people in the wedding industry in terms of planners, ones that do celebrity weddings, that do the $5 million weddings, that if you can make these connections, not only could it help you personally, if you get to know some of these planners, you could be in a really good spot with opportunities, but also learning other trends that we don't usually get to see. It's very valuable sometimes, and I'll send some of my team members to go sit in that photographer, because you may not be a photographer, but you're taking content at our events. What can you learn from those photographers that are doing this for big bucks? So there's so many opportunities and value at the Wedding MBA. I believe that you can just learn from you can see other perspectives, and they do bring in some it's big. They have a little more resources. They can pay for some. I know they've brought in like David Tutura from the Say Yes to the Dress, or he's a wedding planner, whatever. They bring in some like bigger celebrities, and you get some perspectives that you may not be able to find at some smaller shows. So yeah, Wedding MBA, they've done a fantastic job, and they've really focused on improving the DJ side of things by leaning towards people like myself and other people in the industry, asking them for help on like, who should we bring in? What can they do? And they do a really good job too of listening to the guests, the attendees, based on their feedback from each year. And that plays into their next year. Are they going to bring the speaker back? What was good? What was bad? So lots of care and lots of attention to detail by their producers.
Yeah, I would say that's what makes it very interesting. And you mentioned the word perspective. You're there with wedding coordinators, photographers, videographers, venue owners, florists. The entire wedding industry is there. So you definitely get perspective. And they've also recognized the fact that they wanted to give DJs a reason to attend, so they broke it into factions. And so the DJs do have the moments where they could be DJs with DJs, and then they have the other moments where you could just be a wedding professional with other wedding professionals.
Yeah, I should say that. So yeah, like the DJ seminar room, it has its own room in the hallway. So all the DJ events, seminars, and education panels are in that room. So it's specific, and then you could break out, go to the other ones if you wanted to see the DJ specific. Yep.
Now, speaking of another event and convention expo that has DJs as the minority, we're going to hit on IAAPA, and that's IAAPA. I have no idea exactly what it stands for, but I wanted to mention it. It's in Orlando, Florida, November 17th through the 21st. The reason I mention it is that many of my colleagues, especially right here in the Connecticut market, they have been diversifying and not just being DJs anymore, and they've been getting into the rental services. One of my DJ colleagues here went out and he bought a complete mobile mini golf setup, and he's killing it in the summertime with camps. Another guy's doing laser tag, and he's killing it. He's got like 30, 40, 50 different camps, and he's doing like 120 events in the summertime. Are you kidding me? But as far as the rental industry, DJs are getting into, the giant Connect 4 and the popcorn machines and literally doing arcade services. So IAAPA is a place that you could find all kinds of things that, of course, not only could work into bar and bat mitzvahs and your mobile work, but part of your DJ business, and you could expand too. So if you have interest in that, I will have it in the show notes. I'll have the website that you could look into it. Again, Orlando, Florida, at the Convention Center, and that is November 17th through the 21st. Thoughts, Chris?
Yeah, Mike, I have many friends too that are going to that show and doing the same thing what you just said. And I think that's the natural progression for some business owners, where they perform as DJs, mobile DJs, and then they decide, you know what, I don't want to be on the road as much. I don't want to be out doing gigs. Let me turn this more into an AV company. Or I know very successful DJs now that are incorporating AV, and not just audio video, but let's just say that includes all of the different games and different activities like you just mentioned. That's what IAAPA is so great for. I haven't been yet personally, but I know people that go down there, and that's where you find the obscure stuff, the carnival games, the big Connect 4s, things that you can include and then bring it into your events. A lot of corporate, if you want to get into corporate and AV and do these big gala type of things, being able to provide that type of stuff is a huge money maker, and it's something I've been sleeping on. And every once in a while I kick myself. I'm like, why are we not doing this? Why are we not doing this? But there's such an opportunity out there when it gets to AV. And some of you DJs that work with AV companies, then you might go do a gala where you get paid $1,500 to DJ, but then you might see the invoice of what the AV company is getting, and it's $20,000, and you're like, wait, what? Yeah. And rather than getting heckled and having to continue to sell yourself and try to get that extra $500 as a DJ, a lot of these companies, they don't even blink an eye. They don't even blink an eye at some of these AV costs, where it's Oh, you need that extra tablecloth? Yeah, that's $50. Oh, you need an extra speaker? Yep, $500. Boom, and all of a sudden it's a lot. So
Yeah.
there's tons that can be made with that by incorporating the AV stuff as well as those carnival games. And there's many other DJs out there that can speak on this that I know are making a ton. And some of these events, rather than worrying about am I getting my 1,500, 2,000, 3,000, $4,000 for DJing, it's am I getting my $75,000 for this? Am I getting 100? It's crazy when you think about it. And I think more people are starting to see that. And IAAPA could be a good spot where you can go get started and at least take a look and see all the fun stuff out there. So I'd like to get down there at some point as well and just check it out because I hear it's quite a spectacle.
Yeah. Now, as far as different services DJs can provide, one of the services that DJs have been doing forever is lighting. And in fact, we had an event you might have heard of called the Lighting Symposium that I did with Ben Stowe.
Mhm.
Maybe, hopefully, someday we'll do another one. You never know. But we recognized the need for DJs to be able to up their lighting game, that it was more than just bring out a unit and put it on sound active and just let it twirl and spin and blink. But the big show that lighting designers can actually go to. And by the way, this particular show, you can actually sign up for courses, but these are professional courses. I've seen like the price tag. It could be like thousands of dollars to take one course to get your certification, but it's called LDI and it's in Las Vegas. It is a lighting paradise for you walk in there and you can't believe what you're seeing, but it is at the Las Vegas Convention Center. It is going to be December 7th through the 9th. I've been there, Chris, and you go into the show floor and
Crazy, huh?
it's the entire Las Vegas Convention Center expo floor. And
That's big.
when I was there, I was standing next to a guy and was listening to somebody. It turned out that they were the laser designers for Rush that I was standing
Yeah?
next to.
Oh,
That was,
wow.
yeah. So you get that there. But now, of course, there's going to be stuff for DJs too. So it's just a remarkable event to go to. Just for if you want to just have fun on a show floor, and if you do lighting and you want to see what the latest things are, which also includes audio visual, like the big LED screens and whatnot, it's amazing. It really is.
That's cool. Yeah, I've never personally been, but convention center, that's the same place Wedding MBA is, and
Yep.
both big. So you say if it fills up that convention center floor, then that's massive. And that's a good time. I feel like IAAPA, those two type for these people that maybe for if you're just a mobile DJ and you want to do your weddings and proms and whatnot, this probably doesn't have any appeal to you. But those ones that are looking to expand and want to get in to see like what's the next step and what's the next investment. If I invest 50K in these new lighting fixtures and this is what's this return going to be for me? Am I going to make that back in a month, 3 months? Am I going to make 300K this year because of it? And a lot of people are exploring that and finding success. So I'm glad that you put those up there. IAAPA, LDI, again, I haven't been personally to those, but those seem like those are good places to go to check out that stuff. And even if it's not you're going to buy any gear, it's at least connecting with the people that are doing what you might want to be doing. I think that's a huge value to all these shows is being surrounded by like-minded individuals, being surrounded by the people that are doing what you want to do. And most of us, especially in the DJ world, are pretty open and pretty. If you saw someone at a DJ show, and like I was this way when I first started going, and I saw people like Jason Jani who had a huge, very successful multi-op company, and I'm like, I want to do that because I was a single op at the time. And I'm like, how do I get that multi-op company? And talking to other multi-op owners around the country, and most DJs are going to be open to saying hello and having a conversation in the hall. And even if they're busy right in that moment, they'll say, hey, why don't you go find me after the seminar or find me at lunch? We'll have lunch together. We'll have a drink. That almost always happens. And that's a great thing about the DJ community. So
Yeah.
whether you're going to any of these shows or whether you're going to the lighting the LDI, all of those is just putting yourself in those spots to have those conversations. Putting yourself in a chance to get lucky. We use that term in poker a lot. You can't get lucky if you don't put yourself in position to get lucky.
That's
You
right.
can't meet these people if you don't put yourself in position to make these connections and have those conversations and then exchange phone numbers, have a Zoom down the road. That happens all the time with me. I've been on both sides of it, both as the person that they want to talk to and both as me wanting to talk to that person. I still do that. So relationships, putting yourself in those positions, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So a lot of times it's just getting here and you may not find value in the seminars, the parties, but maybe it's just that one connection you made with somebody that opened up opportunities to a lot. Never
No,
never sleep on that.
No doubt, yeah. And so from Las Vegas, we're going to fly across the country, all the way across the country now to Boston, and and another regional show that has been really making waves this year. It's going to be December 8th through the 10th in Boston. It is the Harvest of Sound, and
Boston.
I listen. I just got to say this, Chris, because back way back when we started DJ idea sharing in 2001 as a local get together before Facebook or any of that, right here in New England, we got DJs together, and on our second ever uh, DJ idea sharing that we had everyone bring the speaker. We lined them all up,
Yeah.
and this was like October of 2021. Um, no, I'm sorry, 2001. Woo.
Wow.
Yeah, 2001 October, and we had everyone bring their speaker, and we lined them all up, and then we set them up with switchers, and then we did a comparison, one after the other, and everyone had such a great time. So all these years later, somebody had the idea of doing something like that,
Yeah.
and it has really turned into a big thing, and it exploded. The Harvest of
Talking
Sound.
about the
You've been
speaker
there.
shootout, we do that. Yeah, it's the speaker shootout. So that's contributed to Lou Paris and Ben Stowe. They're the ones that run that, and that's incredible. That's great that you were doing that 20 plus years ago. 2001. Wow, 2001. You were doing speaker shootouts. I was probably trying to figure out how to get the courage to ask my date out to prom in that year. I was in high school. She said yes, though. She
All
said yes.
right. That's
So
why you're
yeah.
so. That's why you're so confident today. You didn't get rejection.
Well, there have been plenty of rejections and way more rejections than yeses, but I think that a lot of people find that. But yeah, we can't go in that to that one. That will take forever. But Harvest of Sound, yes, I've been, and I'm actually one of the co-owners of it. So I
Nice.
came on. They invited me. They was started about 4 years ago, but I got brought in 2 years ago, and I was asked to be a co-founder, a co-owner of it. And so now I've had 2 years of going. This past year in December was the first full year where I was a full owner and part of the one of the producers of the show. This is modeled this very similarly to Midwest and Marquee, same type of size. I believe we had 160, 70 tickets sold last year. And so in that range, 150 to 200, where we have the same schedule. Everyone goes to the same seminars, breakout rooms, and workshops, that type of thing. So that one is going to have the same sort of identity where we want to keep that intimate atmosphere where it's easy to make relationships. It's easy to have those bonds where we get to eat together and having those the different parties that are very similar in terms of let's empower, let's bring some people in to do takeovers. Let's empower people that are going to be at that show. And so yeah, Harvest has definitely been growing the last couple of years, and we've got some other things in store moving forward that should be announced in the near future here. So stay tuned for that.
Okay, so now we wrap that up. So that basically that was the whole year that I could find that runs from January to December. That you could almost do something every single month, except for September and October. But we're so busy, then we don't want to go away anyway, right? But then there's workshops, and I just want to honorable mention. I want to hit on the entertainment experience, which is hosted by Bill Hermann. The guy is amazing, and it is a intensive workshop that goes multiple days. He has that at the EV World headquarters in Burnsville, Minnesota, same place we had our lighting and audio symposium, which is just a killer environment to have an intensive workshop like this. And he gets very theater minded with entertaining and being an MC. So I don't have any dates right now for Bill, but you can look it right up. You can actually find the entertainment experience online, or you can go to billcreates.com and he has information about that. And then the other big one was the Marbecca method that many people I'm sure have heard about. One of my heroes, Mark and his beautiful wife Rebecca, they have really taken DJs from speaking on a microphone to becoming eloquent and articulate and emotional and real and genuine. And he's really had an influence on you. And so now you have something to announce too, Chris.
Huge. And this is one of my favorite things to talk about in the DJ world are these workshops and beyond just the shows. I'll start with Mark because you just talked about that, Marbecca. Yes, I would not be right here today if it was not for Mark Farrell and Rebecca and the Marbecca method. And to touch base on that, so what that was, it was an MC training course, mostly for weddings, but the teachings, rather than just saying, you just talked a lot about like the emotional side of everything. Let me just say that that fundamentals, the core of what he teaches and what is learned will always be relevant as long as humans exist and we communicate and talk. It's not just about how to hold a microphone or this. It's really about how to communicate, how to inspire, how to connect with other people using your heart, using your mind, and all of the other nuances that come with being a good MC. And again, a complete game changer for me. Not only did it open up lots of doors in my DJ world, but also outside. Because the great thing about communication and understanding how to talk to people is it's great for your relationships, your partner, your marriage, your friendships, your sales calls, how to talk to your team. Like it just doesn't stop at being on stage at a wedding. So Marbecca, and I know it's public that Rebecca is having some health issues. She needs a kidney transplant. It's out there, so I'm not exposing anything. That they are looking to. They've been doing those Marbecca shops for I think close to 20 years now, and they are. I think they're evolving, or they're going to be doing something different other than the typical workshops before. I'll let them figure that out and announce that when the time comes. But yeah, stay tuned for that. And then Bill Hermann, yes, Bill Hermann, his entertainment experience was talking about emceeing, about staging, all the things that have to do with being an entertainer. And I've learned a lot from him, as well as other person that I've learned a lot from and inspired is Rob Ferre, who is closer to my age. I think he's in his early 40s. I'm in my late 30s. But Rob and I are very similar with the way we conduct ourselves, our charisma, our attitudes, our mindsets. And so I would say those are the three big influences that they've had on me. That have had on me is Marbecca, Bill Hermann, and Rob Ferre. Those are kind of the three that I always reference to really help shaping who I am today. And Rob Ferre, he does a lot of speaking. He does a lot of speaking engagements outside of the DJ world. Phenomenal, one of my closest friends. And so where that leads into is that I have just announced that my MC workshop that I will be doing, it's called Speak with Style, the Washburn MC Masterclass. And I've already posted about that. I already have a number of DJs that have signed up that are ready to go. I just did one last week for my personal team here at my studio. So that happens in Ithaca, New York. We can put links, or I will be sharing more information. I actually just created a website for it, so it's easy. You can see it. You can submit your contact information. You can see a promo video of what it's all about, what you can exactly expect. And I'm about to release a video of live clips from what the workshop I just did, so people can actually see, like, oh, this is what the layout's going to be. This is an example of some of the conversation. This is the live performance feedback. So what I really like about this one is that it's not just about, hey, this is how you can be Chris Washburn at a wedding. No, it's about meeting each person where they are, finding out your goals, where you want to be, and building off of that. Because some people may not want to just do weddings. So it's going to be something that is knowledgeable for any time that you are speaking, any sort of public speaking. So whether you're doing galas, whether you want to be a public speaker, whether you want to go do TEDx, whether you want to have better speaking with your kids and your wife or husband, like all of these things that I've definitely is the foundation of Speak with Style. And of course, it will have DJ specific stuff. We talk about wedding introductions, but I'm really excited. The one I just did this past week was fantastic. I did one at Harvest of Sound Action for people, which was kind of like the last straw, because I've been thinking about it for a while. The last straw was like, oh, definitely do this, because the feedback from the participants was so great. I enjoy doing it. I love being able to give back because of like what Mark and Bill and Rob have done for me. It's such a gratifying feeling when you know how to speak to people, when you know how to command a room, when you can really impact and touch someone in a positive way. And we do that with our voice. We do that. Yes, we bring people through an adventure with our music and our dance floor sets, but it's not the same emotional impact you have with your heart and your voice and what you can do. So Speak with Style, Ithaca, New York. They're 2-day in-person seminars, usually on a Tuesday, Wednesday. More details you can find. Actually, it's washburnmasterclass.com. Washburn, wash like clothes, burn like fire, masterclass.com. It'll take you right to the landing page for that, so if you want to see more. And very excited. And I don't have specific dates yet. It's going to be based on demand, when people see like when they are free, when they want to do it. But it's something that I want to be able to do maybe monthly, maybe bi-monthly. Hey, if people want to do, I'll do 3 in a month if that's what people want. Like, I enjoy this. It helps me sharpen my skills as well. And I love being able to help inspire and help other people grow. And there's not a lot of resources for emceeing in the DJ world right now,
Oh,
especially with I'm definitely trying to bring a more modern vibe to it and a more modern fit to hopefully appeal to the younger generation of DJs that may not understand why MCing is valuable. But when they see some of the more modern ties and things that they find appealing, and I think that will help them. So yeah,
fantastic, man. I would wish you luck. You don't need luck because you're going to be very successful. So just going to say congratulations on that, Chris.
Thank you, Mike.
So, I mean, that list, I might have missed something, but when we post this at DJ Idea Sharing on Facebook, please, in the comments, if I missed something, please contribute. But I'm going to also, in the show notes on the podcast, I'm going to put every single website along with the dates. So this is going to be just an all necessary and encompassing, whatever you want to call it, little handbook for DJs going and planning their year as far as shows and expos. It's
Cliff notes for DJs.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Chris. So I want to thank you for your time and your contribution. You've been to almost all of these, and you are very successful. So that's one of the reasons why, because you've gone to all of these shows. And
There's a correlation. There's a correlation for sure. When I started going to these shows, absolute game changer. I started making way more money. I started having way more gratifying real relationships. I started enjoying my careers way more. And it's definitely a correlation because of those and the other things that these shows have opened the doors for me.
Yeah, your success is not an accident. It's something that what you put into the universe comes back to you, and it's definitely come back to you. And I commend you for everything you've done and for the DJ industry. And thank you for a few hours of time today on the program. I know you're going to do a video of this. I'm going to take the audio and make it into a podcast, and we're going to put it out to the masses. So, Chris, thank you again for your time today.
Thank you, Mike. Keep doing what you're doing.
I'll keep it up, man, as long as I can live.
All right.
Hopefully that's a little longer.
Yes, lots.
I'm old. Anyway, thank you, everybody, for your listen today on the DJ Idea Sharing Podcast Network. We're out.